Ever wondered how to transform your programming ideas into reality? Picture this. You have a groundbreaking idea, a concept that could shift paradigms, but you're unsure of how to bring it to life. This is where programming steps in, a tool, a language, a craft that empowers you to construct, shape, and breathe life into your ideas. It's like wielding a magic wand, but instead of casting spells, you're writing codes. Intriguing, isn't it? Stay tuned to learn how to create your first program. The world of programming languages is vast and diverse. It's akin to a garden filled with a myriad of different flowers, each with their unique characteristics and charm. Just as you choose roses for romance and sunflowers for cheerfulness, your choice of programming language should align with your project's needs. From Python's simplicity and versatility, ideal for beginners and data scientists, to Java's robustness and demand in enterprise-level applications, each language has its niche. JavaScript, with its dominance in web development, and C++, the powerhouse behind complex system software, are other notable mentions. How do you navigate this garden? Consider your project's requirements, the efficiency of the language, the availability of libraries, and community support. Are you developing a web application? JavaScript might be your best bet. Need to process large amounts of data swiftly? Python could be your flower of choice. Remember, the best programming language is the one that best serves your project's needs. Now that you've chosen your programming language, it's time to set up your coding environment. Picture this. Your coding environment is like your personal workshop. It's where you'll build, test, and refine your projects. And just as a carpenter needs a well-organized workspace, so too does a programmer need a well-set environment. Today, we're going to explore how to set up an integrated development environment, or IDE, which is a crucial tool in your programming toolkit. An IDE is a software application that brings together common programming tools in one place. It typically includes a source code editor, build automation tools, and a debugger. Think of it as your command center, from where you can write, debug, and compile your code. But how do you choose the right IDE? Well, it depends on your chosen programming language. Different IDEs support different languages. Some are language-specific, while others support multiple languages. For instance, if you're coding in Python, you might choose PyCharm as your IDE. If you're working with Java, IntelliJ IDEA could be your go-to. It's important to note that there's no one-size-fits-all IDE. It's like choosing a pair of shoes. You need to find the one that fits you best. So, try out a few, get a feel for them. Consider the user interface, the available features, and how they can support your coding journey. Once you've chosen your IDE, it's time to set it up. This process can vary depending on the IDE, but generally, it involves downloading and installing the software, configuring the settings to your liking, and familiarizing yourself with its features. Take your time here. A well-set environment will pay dividends in the long run. Remember, your IDE is your ally in coding. It's there to help you write better code, find and fix bugs more easily, and make the entire process more efficient. So, take the time to set it up properly. A well-set environment can make your coding journey smoother and more enjoyable. With your environment all set, it's time to dive into the coding basics. Think of coding as a conversation with your computer. You give instructions, and the computer executes them. And as in any conversation, you need to speak a language the other party understands. In this case, that language is composed of variables, data types, loops, and conditionals. Let's begin with variables. Just like in algebra, a variable in programming is a placeholder for a value. It can hold different types of data, like numbers, text, or even complex data structures. This brings us to our next point, data types. In coding, we deal with a variety of data. We have numbers, which can be integers or decimals. We have text, known as strings, and we have booleans, which are either true or false. Each of these is a different data type, and understanding how to use them is a fundamental part of coding. Now, let's talk about loops. Have you ever had to do something repetitively? In real life, It can be pretty exhausting, right? But guess what? Computers love repetition. They can do the same task millions of times without breaking a sweat. That's where loops come in. A loop is a way for you to tell your computer to do something over and over again, until a certain condition is met. Speaking of conditions, that's our last basic concept for today: conditionals. Conditionals are the decision makers in your code. They check if a certain condition is true or false, and then execute different pieces of code based on that. Understanding these concepts is like learning the alphabet before you start writing sentences. Without a strong grasp of these basics, you'll find it hard to write complex code. But don't worry, it may seem overwhelming at first, but with practice, you'll get the hang of it. Mastering these basics is key to becoming a proficient programmer. Armed with the basics, you are now ready to write your first program. In the world of programming, every journey starts with a single line of code. Your first program might not be the next Facebook or Google, but it's a stepping stone towards it. Let's dive in. First things first, let's talk about planning. Programming isn't just about typing code into a computer, it's about solving problems. So, before you even touch your keyboard, take a moment to think about what you want your program to do. Sketch out a plan on paper, or maybe use a whiteboard. This will make the coding process smoother and less prone to errors. Now, let's translate this plan into code. Start by breaking down your program into smaller, manageable tasks or functions. Each function should do one thing and do it well. This is a fundamental principle of programming known as the single responsibility principle. It makes your code easier to read, debug, and maintain. As you write your code, remember to use meaningful names for your variables and functions. This might seem trivial, but it's a crucial part of writing good, clean code. A well-named variable or function can tell you a lot about what a piece of code does, making it easier for you and others to understand. Don't forget to comment your code. Comments are like breadcrumbs in a forest. They help you and others find your way through your code. They explain why you wrote a piece of code a certain way or what a complex piece of code does. Remember, code is read more often than it is written, so make it readable. Once you've written your code, run it. See what it does. Did it do what you expected? If not, don't worry. Errors are a part of the learning process. They're not a sign that you're bad at programming, but an opportunity to learn and improve. Congratulations on writing your first program, but remember, this is just the beginning. Your coding journey has just begun. Keep learning, keep coding, and most importantly, have fun doing it. Coding isn't just about writing programs. It's also about making them work flawlessly. As we dive into the world of programming, an essential aspect we come across is the process of debugging and testing. Debugging is like playing detective. It's a systematic process where we track down and correct the bugs or errors in our code. These bugs could be anything from a simple typo to a complex logical error. On the other hand, testing is our safety net. It's like a quality check for our code. We design different test cases to check if our program behaves as expected under various circumstances. Now you might ask, why is this step so crucial? Well, imagine you've built a beautiful castle of code, but it collapses at the slightest touch because of a hidden flaw. That's what happens when debugging and testing are overlooked. They are our tools to make sure that our code not only looks good, but also stands strong. Moreover, debugging and testing are not one-time processes. As we add more features or make changes to our code, new bugs can creep in. So, it's essential to keep testing and debugging regularly. In the end, it's all about delivering a clean, efficient, and bug-free code. It's about creating a program that not only works, but works perfectly under different conditions. Remember, a well-tested program is a reliable program. You've made it this far, and you should be proud. That's right, you've embarked on an exciting journey into the world of programming. We've covered a lot of ground together, from choosing the right programming language to setting up your environment, learning coding basics, and even writing your first program. Remember, these are just your first steps. The beauty of programming is that there's always more to learn, more problems to solve, more codes to debug. So what comes next? Practice, of course. Apply what you've learned by working on small projects. Try debugging some existing code. You might also want to explore more advanced topics or even another programming language. The world of code is vast and varied, and it's yours to discover. Keep practicing, keep learning, and soon you'll be coding